Hey everybody, let's do a deep dive into the U.S. Senate election in Nevada. This should be a competitive race on paper, but so far, Democrats look favored to hold on here. So let's start here on Ballotpedia with some background information. The incumbent senator here is Democrat Jacky Rosen. She's running for re-election to a second term. Prior to her being in the Senate, she served one term in the U.S. House. In her last win in 2018, she won by 5 points. Her opponent on the Republican side is Sam Brown. Brown has not held political office. His background is in the military, and he did suffer some notable burns from an explosion when he was deployed. He also did run for the U.S. Senate a couple of years ago. He finished in second place in that GOP primary. There's also a couple of third-party candidates on the ballot, and Nevada is a state where you can vote for none of these candidates. So let's see how they did in their primaries. Jacky Rosen only had token opposition. She cleared 92%. Sam Brown only had mild opposition. He won with over 60% of the vote. And if you'd like to compare raw vote totals from the primaries, the Democrats got 156,000, Republicans got 169,000. I wouldn't put much weight in that, especially considering Rosen did not really have a competitive primary. Now let's go down here and see how this race is rated. Cook, Decision Desk, and Larry Sabato have it at lean Democratic. Inside Elections has it at tilt Democratic. It looks like Decision Desk has fluctuated between likely and lean over the past month. My own rating has been lean Democrat. This is easily considered a purple state with both Democrats and Republicans elected statewide. However, as you'll see in the polling later on, it looks like Sam Brown hasn't really broken through and Rosen has maintained a clear lead. My own view is Rosen to me seems like pretty much a generic type of Democrat. She's trying to play toward the middle and tout her bipartisanship. Sam Brown does have the backing of Trump. Of course, he's got all that military experience. I don't think he's overly charismatic, but he also might face a little bit more of an uphill climb in trying to play to more moderate voters. So after these ballot measures on abortion and ranked choice voting, we can come down here to the campaign financing. Rosen, being the incumbent, does have a lot more funding. Sam Brown's is only updated through the end of March, so he's way behind. I think money is far from everything, but in a close race, you're going to need some to run a solid campaign and get some ads out there. Now let's see how some of the counties have trended on a presidential level. So not a ton of counties here, and it's overall a pretty red state with the exception of 2 counties. But that's where most of the population is. Clark County, which has Las Vegas. In 2020, this went blue, but it was by less than 10 points. You can see Trump's support has actually increased here over the previous 4 years. Biden's also increased over Hillary, but it was by less than what Trump did. So there is some hope amongst Republicans that the trends of this county with working class and Hispanic voters, they're going to make it a little bit redder, and that's going to give Trump or any Republican running statewide, in this case Sam Brown, a solid chance of being able to win the election. And given that this county has more than 70% of the statewide population, every single percentage point can be consequential. Now the other notable county here is going to be in the Northwest. That's Washoe, and it has Reno. This is another county that's blue, but it's only mildly so. Last time Biden won it by 4.5. That margin is higher though than it was in 16 as well as in 12. So this could be a spot that Jacky Rosen is looking to expand if she's going to lose any support in Clark County. Now most of these other counties are extremely red, and for the most part they've only gotten redder since Trump got on the ballot. In a couple of these counties he even gets his support into the 80s. So let's see how this applies into some other statewide elections. Let's see what Jacky Rosen did 6 years ago back in the blue wave of 2018 during her first win. In this race she also took down incumbent Republican Dean Heller. So let's go into Clark County, and in this she did way better than Biden did. She got it up to 55%. In Washoe County she was just under 50, and Heller pulled in about what Trump did 2 years later in 2020. And in deep red Nye County, Jacky Rosen did about as well as Biden did, but Dean Heller underperformed Trump by a few points. Now as I said, there are both statewide elected Democrats and Republicans, and if you go back to just a couple of years ago, for governor, Joe Lombardo, the Republican, did defeat incumbent Democrat Steve Sisolak. He's under 49%, but he won by about 1.5. Now what you'll notice here on the county map is that both Clark and Washoe are blue, but Lombardo was still able to win statewide. So it goes to show you do not need to win the counties with the most population. The trick here for Lombardo is he kept the margins close. In Clark, Sisolak got 51, Lombardo got 45. That's a little bit tighter than what it was in 2020 for president. And also in Washoe, Biden won it by 4.5, but here Sisolak won it by just 1.5. So it's all about the margins. Jacky Rosen is expected to win both of these counties, but if Sam Brown is going to make it competitive, he's going to have to get these margins as close as he can down to low single digits. Now let's check out their official campaign websites. Here it is for Jacky Rosen. If you're completely unfamiliar with her and you want to see what she's all about, where she stands on the issues, her endorsements, donate, etc. And if you're interested in Sam Brown, here's his site. Here you can read about him, where he's at on the issues, volunteer, buy some of his merch, or donate to his campaign. Now how about debates? Well, looks like we've got one here scheduled for October 17th. Looks like it's going to be the only one. Glad to see that that's going to happen. I think think pretty much every race should have at least one debate so people can take a look at these candidates. So now let's take a look at the current polling. So right now in the aggregate, Jacky Rosen is ahead by almost 9 points. So that's technically a comfortable lead, especially for a purple state. All the individual polls have Rosen clearly ahead, many times by double digits. She's also hitting 50% in a bunch of these. So I did expect her to start out with a lead until Sam Brown was able to get his campaign going. But given that we're well into October, Brown is going to need a late surge if he's going to want to make this competitive, and that is possible, but it's not at all likely. Now for comparison, let's see how accurate the polling was in 2018 in Rosen's first win. So in this, she got over 50%. Dean Heller was at about 45.5. These polls showed it back and forth in the final few weeks, and it looks like they were fairly accurate with Heller's support, but they just underestimated Rosen's by a few points. So maybe it was the late breakers, maybe the polling was just off. It's not the easiest state to poll. Either way, Rosen was underestimated. So the last thing we're going to do is take a look at Polymarket and see where people are putting their money. Here we've got the Democrat Jacky Rosen at 88%. Sam Brown, the Republican, is at 12%. So what's the conclusion here for Nevada? Well, even though the race should not be any kind of a blowout, so far the polling has looked great for Rosen. So much so that I think a lot of people are saying this race is pretty much off the table for the Republicans. Trump at the top of the ticket looks much more competitive than Brown does for Senate. It's tough here to bank on the polling. It did overestimate Adam Laxalt a couple of years ago in the midterms. He was slightly favored to win, but he came up just short. But Republicans have had success here, most notably for governor. I don't think Sam Brown is at all going to carry Clark or Washoe counties. I don't think he's going to have the kind of connection with blue-collar voters that Trump seems to have. But he seems like a nice guy. He has a traumatic backstory from the military. But it just looks like Jacky Rosen appears to be very non-threatening and pretty much an establishment Democrat. She's relying on abortion. Sam Brown is going to be relying on inflation and immigration. And I'd say at this point, it does look like this race might be slipping away from the Republicans. We'll see if there's any late movement, but that's a recap of this U.S. Senate race in Nevada. So let me know in the comments, what do you think about what's going on here in this silver state? Do you think Rosen is going to cruise to victory, or do you think Sam Brown is going to make it competitive in the end? What do you think the margin is going to be in Clark County? Let me know down below. On your way out, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Join if you'd like to support the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.